Welcome to EdTech AM with me, Abid Patel.
And me, Megan Alfano. Every episode, we rip up the script and take a fun look at tech, education, life, and everything in between. So jump on in and join us.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, Megan?
I'm good. How are you? Long time no see, Brent.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yes, we had ourselves a summer.
Indeed. It was a very, very warm summer here in the UK. And I always say to all of my North American and South American and pretty much all of my global friends, summer in the UK hits different. And
like muggy.
Yeah, see, everyone always likes to troll me and say, "Oh, but your temperatures are really low." But it's like I'm knocking on the concrete wall I have here, and the houses in the UK are very much built to keep the heat in, and because we only get like 3, maybe 4, if we're lucky, weeks of summer, we don't have these things called air conditioning.
Yeah, I feel sad for you every time the temperatures rise basically above 23.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it was a very warm, very eventful, very busy summer. Yeah, we had lots and lots of going on. But how about yourself?
Yeah, you know what? We had the opposite. Summer here was kind of cold. Like it would get really hot for 2 days, and then the fluctuation would go between 30 and like 18. And then it was jumping around all over the place. So it actually was kind of a rainy, cold summer. So like growing things wise, not great. My tomatoes are just now starting to grow. And we're expecting, at this point it's 30 degrees. It's been hot, like since school started. Oh yeah, I'm back in the classroom.
That is big news.
You want to talk about teacher tired? I forgot. I was only gone for 1 year. You should have seen me yesterday. I was walking around. I have a grade 7 homeroom, so like 13-year-olds. And I'm teaching science and STEAM this year, STEM. And one of the kids in the morning, I was drinking my coffee and I was talking to them about the events of the day. And I wasn't like, when you're talking and you're not listening to the words that you're saying, and then someone is like, he was like, "You're not making any sense, miss. Can you just go drink your coffee and we'll talk about it later?" I was like, yeah, like I can't even be upset at you because I don't even know what I said. He's like, "For sure. Drink this in the corner and then we'll start our day." Yeah. So we've been back to school for 2 weeks. If you're in Alberta and watching, hi. You're probably not. But if you are, hello. And if you are in Alberta or Canada, you might be aware that we have a teacher strike looming over here. So yes, it's big and it's province-wide, which is pretty bananas and never been done before. We don't have to talk about it, but that's been kind of on the back seat as well. There's been lots of questions because if this happens, basically there's been negotiations for various funding because the funding in Alberta has just been absolutely atrocious for the past decade. So we're at an impasse right now. So we just gave strike notice, and if nothing happens, then we go on strike on October 6th, which means that all of the schools in Alberta are going to shut down.
So basically what you're saying, Megan, is you've just gone back to the classroom after a long break, and now you're going to be out of the classroom on another break.
Yeah, but like also I've never encountered this. Like I've been teaching for 12 years. I've never encountered anything remotely like this. So it's been kind of weird and like a strange political environment to come back to work in, but the kids are great. And it's been fun to be in the room with the robots and all of that again. So it's been good, but I am exhausted. So if I say anything random, just please ignore.
We've had a very interesting political situation with teaching over the last few years.
Yeah.
Not much that I can remember in terms of the teacher strike, when the last teacher strike was, but we have had several teaching strikes in the UK over the last few years, mainly
Yeah.
to do with pay, of course,
Mm.
but a lot of it is to do with workload. And surprisingly, some of the teacher strikes, I believe, were due to the really poor funding of the education sector from the government. And what's been a horrible double-edged sword is the teachers have been striking, and then the government has been agreeing their pay packages without giving schools the extra funding, and so therefore they're authorizing the pay rises, which the schools are then obligated to pay, but they have to find that money in their already depleted budgets. And in my life, I know at least 10 schools in the UK that have been forced to close, and not all of them are private schools. Like I don't understand with private schools because they rely on private funding and stuff, but this is actual state government funded schools are being forced to close because there's not enough children, or simply put, the funding is just not there to keep up with all of the required expenditure. It's been a very challenging time for anyone working in schools that is not a teacher, for example. Like in my role as IT, it was an absolute nightmare to drive forward any form of digital transformation. Not even the fun stuff. Like I'm not even going to get started on tech and STEM and all of that stuff. No, I'm talking about keeping infrastructure, just keeping things ticking along. We're in September 2025 now. What's coming up next month? October 2025, the end of Windows 10, and it's insane how many TikTok and Instagram reels that I watch from loads of wonderful teacher influencers who are showing some great things on how you use XYZ EdTech tool and stuff. My eye goes straight to their taskbar and I can see you're still running Windows 10. You need to upgrade that.
That's the IT person in you. I would be like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And not on my radar, sir.
No,
we are
and
different things.
This is the crazy thing is Microsoft haven't made it easy to upgrade to Windows 11 because you need to be running reasonably new hardware, which schools simply put when my school or my now former school, and we'll get onto that in a bit, was we were still running PCs that were 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
The way I got around it was I upgraded those to Chrome OS Flex, and so that got us over that immediate concern, albeit there are far greater technical concerns with regards to that. But simply put, we didn't have the money to upgrade the PCs.
Yeah.
And it's not just simply a case of, hey, let's just move everything over. Changing operating systems is a humongous it's a huge task. It's really, really onerous. It's not simple. It is very, very costly, and it requires an immense amount of planning. And we're now in September 2025. It's going end of life in October 2025. You can't just upgrade overnight. You can do it with your home PC, absolutely, no problem. But in an organization, in a commercial infrastructure, it's not really that simple. And that's just coming from the IT perspective. Then you're looking at finance, you're looking at HR, you're looking at maintenance, you're looking at all of this other stuff. And the crazy thing is, none of this stuff is cheap. Absolutely none of this stuff is cheap. And yet schools are just being depleted of money. And it's almost like sometimes I see teacher pay rises are like a vicious cycle where the teachers will get the pay rise, but then the budgets will be hit so badly that eventually what happens, the only way to get out of that hole that you've just suddenly got in, is layoffs. right? And
Yeah.
that's ultimately what happens. And you're not solving a problem. It's kind of just kicking the can down the road, because you can't lay off teachers, right? Because you need the teachers in front of the classroom, right? And
Yeah.
you can't just take a class of 30 and then merge it with another class of 30, or even a class of 15, shall we say, right?
Yeah.
One teacher can't manage that, right? Even with teaching assistants and stuff. And um it's just a very dangerous future for education, that we're not really seeing any improvement right now. If you look at the UK, and I'm trying not to turn this into a political podcast, but our leaders just seem to be talking about migration and those kind of things, on how to reduce that. And there's a very right wing sort of movement, and it's just
Yeah.
like, we're not addressing the issues here with not just education, but health and services and all of that stuff. And it's just getting really, really scary in education.
They're just, for me, and again, we can move on after this, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of like really great critical thinking going on. So for us, you're talking about, classes and stuff like that. So we've got, I mean, right now, average class size is 30. Like, and that might be a big generalization, but I know is like 36 kids in a junior high. My daughter's school, their kindergarten has about 30 kids. And it's just like, in kindergarten, how can that teacher, and there's no EA. So the educational assistants have all been, laid off. In our school, we have 500 and something students. We have 3 educational assistants in the entire building. So ours is about pay, because there hasn't been a pay increase to like balance out the inflation in the past decade. But it's also so much about like lowering class sizes, providing funding for educational assistants, just like the bare bones things that teachers need, because it's changed so much even since I started teaching. It's been crazy. Like, or even since COVID hit, the classroom has changed and the needs of kids have changed dramatically. So that's what ours seems to be about. But we seem to be very concerned about separating from Canada. So that's where Alberta's at right now. Our landlocked province is concerned about whether or not we can slough it on our own. And I'm thinking probably not. So we might want to take a critical thinking lens to all of this, world leaders. And with that,
thank you for joining the EdTech AM. Oh wow! Well, it's just amazing how much politics plays a part in our lives, right? Whether we want to shy away from it or not. And I could probably say politics has played indirectly, maybe directly, a huge part in my current situation, in the sense that I now find myself for the first time in 20 years not in schools. Because I left my trust after a round of restructure at the end of July, and it's been a very interesting summer.
Different for you.
Very different for me. Trying to figure out what's next. I have very recently launched my own consultancy. Hashtag it just works. My Google certified innovator project finally comes to life, Megan, 6 years on.
Nice.
So really excited for what the future holds with that.
I'm excited for you.
And I'm really excited to work with schools directly on, digital transformation, cybersecurity things. Really, really taking a look at helping schools, because the digital environment, the digital landscape isn't getting any easier. It's getting scarier to navigate. It's getting more challenging to navigate. AI is bringing in an entire kettle of fish that we need to be wary about. there's lots of exciting things with AI. There's lots of great things that AI can do, but there's also lots of scary stuff that's happening with AI. Um, and just because of the introduction of AI and the fact that our our, our kind of vision or focus on education and EdTech has changed to, hey, let's use ChatGPT and let's use Gemini and let's use every single AI tool that you can think that's out there. Fact of the matter is that the rest of the stuff hasn't gone away. Online safety is still a thing. Filtering is still a thing. Just non AI edtech related tools and platforms are still a thing. We still need to know how to use a computer. We still need to teach our students how to use a computer. We still need to train our staff on how to use technology. And AI is just adding another AI is just kind of adding another whole layer on top of what those things are. So
Yeah.
it's challenging, but that's where I'm hoping that I'll be able to work with schools directly to do that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to be indirectly out of the classroom
Yeah.
experience for the first time in 21 years.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
exciting. And actually, we've been having the AI conversation a lot in my science classes because we've been doing some research projects and things. And it's just like it's been a matter of explaining to kids and having them understand where their information is exactly coming from. So like we've had lots of conversations over the years that Google is not a source, it's a search engine, right? But now with that Gemini extra bit on top, instead of Wikipedia popping up first, Gemini pops up first when they Google something. So having them understand that what Gemini is doing, that Gemini is not a credible source. It is taking from sources, credible or not credible. And then your job is to decide whether or not that information is valuable to you, what you're going to use it for, what you're not going to use it for, and where you're going to double check has been a big conversation in our schools, because the first thing that pops up, right, because we're all about that, I need it quick, I need it fast, and I need to move on to the next thing. What's the next thing? It's been, you don't actually need to use like the first thing that pops up. So where do we hunt? So it's kind of like the same conversation about internet use that we've been having for so long, but now there's that extra layer to it with AI being so like readily available to kids.
I have a very interesting story about a very personal experience with AI. I won't exactly call. I guess you could call it hallucination, but
Yeah.
it was a very intriguing hallucination,
Okay.
right? So I can't remember if we talked about this on a previous episode, but when I went to ISTE in June, I had ISTE took place in San Antonio this year. There's no direct flight from London, so I flew from London to Dallas, and then Dallas I had a connecting flight to San Antonio. Now I was supposed to have a 1.5 hour layover in Dallas that got delayed upon delay upon delay, and it turned into I was delayed by 6.5 hours.
Ooh.
Finally got to San Antonio 6.5 hours later, thankfully. What I found out to my benefit is if you're delayed by a certain amount of hours, you get some compensation in the according to EU and UK law. And I have to say EU and UK law now because of Brexit. Sorry to bring the politics back again, but effectively post Brexit, those laws were repealed, were brought into UK law. So
Gotcha.
there's this particular UK law. It used to be called EU, or it's still called EU 261. It's now called UK 261 or something like that. So once I came back, I was reading up. We've got this financial presenter here in the UK called Martin Lewis. He's got a website called Money Saving Expert, and he just gives out lots of consumer advice on how you can save money and get the best deals on things, and also claim back on things that haven't gone your way. So
Right.
flight delay compensation was one of the things. So I'm reading up his thing, and basically what had happened was I'd booked my flights with British Airways, but the operator of the flight was American Airlines.
Mhm.
So what happened was, I'm reading his website and it says, yes, if your flight was operated by British Airways, but if you booked with British Airways, but the operator of your flight was American Airlines, your claim is with American Airlines. I thought,
Mhm.
okay, cool. So I decided to spin up ChatGPT and said, could you please help me write a letter for my claim? And I gave it all of my details to say I told it I crafted the best prompt you could imagine for this scenario. I told it
Okay.
my entire life story. I gave it, I booked with British Airways, American Airlines operated the flight, blah, 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 all of that. And it said, cool, brilliant. Here's a letter you need to write to British Airways to
Mhm.
claim for your delay. And I was like, wait a minute, Martin Lewis on his website, and here's the link to the website, says that the claim is with the operator, not the agent you booked with. And ChatGPT was adamant.
Yeah.
No, according to UK law, your claim is with British Airways because you have a contract with them that you bought the ticket from them. You have a sales contract with them. And so therefore your claim is with British Airways. I'm like, are you sure about this? Yes, 100%. I'm like, but this is what the law says. That's great, but it doesn't apply in your situation, Abid. I was like, okay, cool. I decided I'm going to check with Gemini, right?
Mhm.
Let's just check with Gemini, get a second thought on this thing. I gave it the exact same prompt and it told me the same thing. It said that my claim is with British Airways, not with
Okay.
American Airlines. And I'm like, are you sure? Yes, absolutely. Fine. I wrote the letter, I filled out the form with British Airways, wrote it, and as you would expect, they rejected the claim and they said, according to this law, your claim is with the operator.
Right.
So then I went back to ChatGPT and I said, so this is what British Airways came back with. What did ChatGPT say? It said that this is a classic delaying tactic by British Airways, that they don't want to pay you a compensation. So therefore you need to go back to them with an even more stern letter and threaten that to take them to court. I'm like, are you sure the law is you're understanding the law here? And he even told me, yes, acting as an as a as a legal expert, I am fully aware of the fact that the law states that your claim is with British Airways. Anyway, I ignored it completely, went
Yeah.
through American Airlines, and they accepted the claim,
Yeah.
right? But this
Good.
was ChatGPT and
ChatGPT,
Gemini,
you're not a legal expert.
and constantly just going to them, like, and I'm telling them, like, this is what this is what advice I'm getting from the forums are saying, don't believe Chat GPT. This is why you don't go to AI for legal advice, right?
Yeah.
and I'm saying this is the actual transcript of the law. This is what
Mhm.
it says, right? The operator is at fault here, and the AI was adamant beyond belief. Like, I'm trying to get it to accept that it's wrong, and it just would
Just
refuse
would
to
not.
believe that it's wrong. And in this scenario, right, I kind of knew that this is wrong, but I thought, let's play it through anyway.
Yeah.
But what happens when you don't know something? Like, what happens when that's why we do the Google search, right?
Probably happens all the time. Yeah.
That's why we go to the AI and we ask it to help us to craft something, because we don't know, right? And
Yeah.
the AI has been learning through whatever means, data scraping or through other people using it.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that in this scenario, I knew it was hallucinating, but I thought, let me just follow it through. But what happens when you don't know?
Yeah, well, I think that like the whole premise of AI being all knowing is just completely untrue. Like, why do we believe that this thing that we trained is all knowing, but we're not obviously all knowing? So, why would it be? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, I don't know.
And it
I
comes
just
back
know
to that
why.
thing, it comes back to those statements you constantly hear to say, will AI replace the teachers, right? No, right? Will AI replace the teachers who don't use AI? Possibly, maybe,
Maybe.
but
I mean, workload
but
alone,
yeah,
it's
but
if it can save me time, I'm gonna use it, that's great. But I
yeah,
mean, will
but
AI replace our ability to write eloquently? Maybe.
But can AI do the job itself? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. You see it now where almost every, like, I had it yesterday with pets at home, right? My cat food hadn't arrived in the delivery. So what I
Okay.
had to do is I had to go and click the horrible live chat icon in the bottom right hand corner to go into live chat for pets at home. And what did I get? I got the advanced AI chatbot, right?
Of course.
And right, so why are you calling in today, right? And it gives me a list to select from, and I'm like, none of those, right? So I'm typing in none of those, right? Okay, which one of these do you want? And it's like, well, it's none of those either, right? Okay, and then see, I had to tell it like 5 times before it was like, okay, type in what your request is. And so then I said, right, okay, fine. I'm going to type it in. Okay, cool. Can you give me your order number? Yes, here's the order number. Okay, what was the item that was missing? Yeah, the cat food. Okay, cool. Right. Okay, we can see this has not been delivered. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here. And then it's like, okay, what would you like us to do? And I'm like, I'd like the cat food, please. Right? Okay, we'll put you through to one of our agents. Finally puts me through to the agent. And what does the agent say? How can I help you today? Yeah. So I have to start completely all over again.
Yeah,
Right?
like no wonder people get frustrated.
Yeah, and so wait a minute. If the AI is supposed to replace the human in this aspect, then what has it done? Because the minute it got stuck, it just put me through to a human anyway.
Yeah, which is what you
And the
wanted in the
human,
first place. Let's be honest.
which is what I wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, the human didn't have any understanding of what the conversation I just had with the AI, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, in this instance, what usefulness has it brought at all?
Yeah.
Right. And I get, again, just what we just said about funding in education and stuff like that. That's happening across the world, right? That's happening in every organization, retail, and everything.
Yeah.
But I really think that there needs to be an understanding and a place for where AI fits, and is it actually doing a good job in this instance, or is your intention just to fend people off, right?
Exactly. Well, I was saying, sorry to interrupt you, but I was saying it's kind of like with any other tech use. Like when we put some sort of tech into the classroom, it's always a question of what are you doing with it? Like, what's your intention? Are you just substituting it for someone else or something else? Okay. Are you like really using it to like augment, enhance? What's the purpose? And so that's for me been the question of AI. What's the purpose here? Am I enhancing what I'm doing? Am I using it to save time? Am I just using it as like, or are we just dumping an AI chatbot into something because that's what everybody else is doing? And then we can have one less human on our workforce. I mean, is that really helpful? I don't know.
And this is the thing. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, but the amount of conferences that I've been to recently where it's like, in year 1, hey, check out our great new platform. Great. Year 2, hey, check out our platform with this great new feature. Great. Mm-hmm. Year 3, check out our great platform with all of these features, now with advanced artificial intelligence, right? And what does advanced artificial intelligence usually mean? We've got a chatbot, right? Yeah. And it's just kind of like all you've done is put a chatbot in to replace the search button, right?
Yeah.
Is there any value actually coming to that? And I've been speaking to it, and it's amazing how it's becoming a real double-edged sword in all in all tech communities, because I was talking to an EdTech company a few weeks ago who are like, we're getting negative press for not implementing any AI into our product. And it's like, we don't want to implement AI for AI's sake, right? Likewise, let's look at big tech, right? Apple, right? Bought out Apple Intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Google and OpenAI kind of leading the way, shall we say, with their implementations of AI. Fine, great job, right? But now Apple are getting heat for not doing any work on AI. And so what they did last year was they rushed out Apple Intelligence, and they promised a brand new experience for Siri that would be like, Siri would understand your context. It would learn about, this is the time that you wake up, this is your routine. You'd be able to converse with it in the way that you want to do things, and it'd be great. And none of that ever came to fruition. And what did they do? They partnered with OpenAI. There's rumors about them partnering with Google, with Gemini
Yeah.
and stuff. And it's just, are you just trying to jump on a bandwagon? Are you
Mhm.
just trying to, like, we need AI in here? And is there sometimes a conversation that needs to be had to say, hey, if these guys are doing AI well, then let them deal with it.
Let's do
There's no need
something
to,
else.
yeah, there's no need to always compete with these kind of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's true. And I was kind of wondering, you mentioned the Apple thing, and I had seen online, they announced all of the new like iPhone and stuff like that, but there was all of this rage online about there aren't any like new things about this Apple Intelligence. And what I was kind of wondering is, are they being more intentional with it? Is it just taking time? What are they up to? Was kind of my question. Because it
well,
was,
I just read on 9 to 5 Mac
yeah.
today that the head of the division that looks after Siri,
Mhm.
and the person who was supposed to be in charge of the new Apple Intelligence enhanced Siri has left the organization. So
Interesting. Interesting.
that
Okay. So
that
something
kind of,
to put here, because I was
yeah.
like, okay, because I mean, one thing that I think Apple has been known for is like consumer experience, right? So it's the experience of using an Apple product that people enjoy. And they just, I don't know, it seems like, yeah, they shoot out their products every year and there's always a new something or whatever, just the same as any other big tech company. But it seems like there's always been an underlying layer for a long time of intentionality and design with Apple. So I wonder, with this Apple Intelligence, are we following that same trend? Is it not coming out as fast because there's a little bit more intentionality and design, or is it just not working? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's funny, like the last few iPhones, people have been saying Apple have forgotten how to innovate, right? And it's funny how we've kind of come full circle for when Apple released the first iPhone.
Yeah.
If you look at all of those other companies that were releasing phones at the time, your Samsungs, your Motorola's, your Nokia's, right? Every phone kind of followed the same. You had the tiny screen at the top, and then you had the physical keyboard, and then
Yeah.
Apple kind of changed the game with that, and
Yeah.
everyone kind of followed suit, right?
Right.
Now you've got other companies doing foldable phones, and you're doing all of this stuff. And it's kind of sometimes, it just kind of sometimes feels like, you know um they're making innovation for the sake of making innovation,
I was
because
just going to say that.
yeah, like I get it, right? You've got shareholders who want their dividends, right, and their
Yeah.
profit, your profit margins, but the average consumer is not buying a new phone every single year,
Gosh, I
right?
hope not.
And especially at the current prices.
Yeah.
Credit to Apple for not increasing their prices, which was heavily rumored for the iPhone
Oh,
17,
all
the
right.
iPhone 17 launch, but
17.
they yeah. So Apple just announced the iPhone 17. The baseline iPhone 17, so the base model, inverted commas, the cheapest model that they
Yeah.
do, or so it's not actually the cheapest they do, but the cheaper of the range, actually got some very good updates.
Nice.
And there was a TikTok that I was watching just the other day where so Apple released three new iPhones. They released the iPhone 17, they released the iPhone Air. We'll get onto that in a minute, and then
Okay.
they released the iPhone 17 Pro
Okay.
and the Pro Max. So they've got four new
And Pro
phones in
Max
their
is
range.
like the bigger one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Pro Max is just the bigger version of the
Yeah,
Pro.
of the Pro. Got it.
The iPhone Air is the thinnest iPhone they have ever made,
Oh no.
right? So already everyone's kind of like,
Everyone's gonna drop it.
it's 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 a it's a marvel of design. I'll give it that, right?
Okay.
It's an amazing design in the sense that they've managed to design a phone so thin and yet really, really powerful,
Right.
and things like
Yeah,
that.
that's cool.
But uh, Apple's marketing is always amazing in this instance, where they turn around and they say it gives you all day battery life, and
Yeah.
yet it has a much smaller battery than any of the other phones because
Because
of
it's
the
so
size
old.
of the phone,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But then what does all day battery life mean?
And like
Like,
shit in it?
yeah, and the fact of the matter is how do you quantify that? Because if I'm leaving my phone on standby, then yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to get all day battery life. If
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through TikTok, right, for a good hour or 2 hours or 3 or 4, right? Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, it is that dangerous sometimes. Then you're not going to get all day battery life, right? You're
Well,
going to be
yeah.
using your battery, and
Marketing for you for
you can't simply say that the iPhone Pro, no, they actually said the iPhone Pro Max in some cases is going to get up to 39 hours of battery life, which is phenomenal. But 39 hours of what? 39 hours of standby, that's great, but you're not buying a phone for £1,100 and then keeping it on standby, right?
no.
That's an all-day use device.
Yeah. Well, and even like going back to we were talking about like people getting upset that Apple haven't been innovating. It's like, okay, is that an us problem? Like, are we're always looking for like the next new like, what are you gonna do next? What's the next one gonna have? And at the end of the day, like, yeah, Apple smart the first like full screen smartphone, that was a huge change. But at the end of the day, it's a phone. And really now it's a small computer. So
And
I mean,
I mean,
what else are we doing?
yeah, what
What's
else
it
do you
for?
want your what else do you want your smartphone to do?
What else do you want
Like,
it to do? Like it is meant to be a phone, and sure we use it for, all of the other things that we use it for, but what else is it
and
going to do?
I
Like
don't know.
other than make
There's
you
there's
lunch?
rumor, there's already rumors abound about next year Apple will be announcing the iPhone Fold, for example, right? And again, that's jumping on the bandwagon where
It is.
Samsung have released the Galaxy Fold, and Xiaomi and Honor and all of those other companies are
Yeah.
releasing foldable phones, right?
Okay. Cool.
Um,
That's what you
That,
want?
that's great, right? The rumors are it's going to cost £2,000 or $2,000, right? I'm not spending that much on a phone, right? And Apple already have a product called the iPad, right?
Yeah.
For those instances. Ironically, buying the latest iPhone and buying the latest iPad will probably be cheaper than the rumored cost of the foldable phone, right? And I get it's great that you'll be able to, but again, is it jumping on a bandwagon?
Yeah.
Is it, and what's the real use case going to be? And I still like, I still have this debate with my wife all the time when we have to do our weekly grocery shop, right? And
Mm.
she does it online and she does it on her phone, and I'm like, I've got two 27-inch monitors downstairs in the living room that I'm in my office, right? And the minute she says she adds it all to the cart, and then of course Bank of Avid, she then comes to me and says, could you please put it through
Yeah.
with the payment of it? What I'll do is I'll just bring it up on the, yes, sure, I could do it on my phone, but why do I want to, like, stare at that tiny
Can't do it on
screen?
my
Like,
phone.
I can't, I just can't do it. Like, even the I've got, like, we both use Google Workspace, right? We use Google Drive, Doc
Yeah.
Sheets, and Slides. You ask me to write a document, right, on my phone. I can't do it. I
Absolutely not.
cannot do a Google Doc
Oh,
on my phone, right?
this goes to who was I talking to about this? It was someone, maybe I was talking to you about it and you were telling me someone, but this was when we were at Innovate in South Africa and we were talking about Canva. Maybe it wasn't you, I don't remember, but I was speaking with somebody about Canva and they were talking about how they know someone who only does Canva on their phone. They only use Canva on their phone. And I was like, what?
Oh
How?
yeah, I think that was me, and I think I know who I'm talking
It
about
was
as well.
incredible. It was like,
But it's
what?
it's
Like that
like,
person's eyesight must be incredible. I cannot, even if something is already created in Canva, if I have to add something from it on my phone, I feel like I'm 97 years old. I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah.
my fingers are too fat for
Mine are
for the
too.
for my perfectionist pixel
Right?
perfectness,
Yes,
right? I
that's what it
can't
was. You're
get
like little to the right.
yeah, I can't get my elements into the right place on the phone, right?
Heaven forbid
And
we have
and
to add text too, and then we can't even see what we're writing. Oh my
Yeah, like
gosh.
it's just there. I think there's a place for the smartphone, absolutely, and we are becoming more reliant on our smartphones. Um, but like for example, using Google Docs on my phone, I'm going to use Google Docs to make a quick edit to something. Like
Yeah,
I'm talking about adding a sentence or fixing a spelling mistake or something like that. I'm not going to sit there and start writing my next novel on my smartphone. No,
absolutely not.
that's going to happen on a physical keyboard. That's
I
going to
wor
happen ideally on a at least a big screen or a multi-screen setup or something, or a
yeah,
worst
I'm
case
not that
scenario, a
bad.
laptop, right?
I'll work on my MacBook. I'm not that bad. I don't need, like, my fold out screens like you do.
Yeah.
You walk in and you're like, "Jarvis, I'm ready," and it just like like
I do sometimes struggle actually to use a laptop for
yeah.
true productivity. Like the first thing I do with my MacBook, even when I was in my cupboard, was I would dock it to my monitor because I
Right.
that's my own personal preference. I prefer looking at it on a big screen or on a
Yeah.
multi-screen and that kind of stuff. But on a smartphone, I'm not entirely sure. And one thing, I've never been an Android user, but one thing I've always been envious of is Samsung have this thing called Samsung Dex, where you
Okay.
can actually dock your smartphone into a dock, connect it to a large screen, and then you can use
Oh,
your phone on a screen. I'd like to see what that experience is like. I've
hmm,
kind of tried
cool.
it with the iPad. Actually, you can now use I think it's Stage Manager, or what I think that's what it's called, where you
Gotcha.
can connect a monitor to the iPad effectively, and
That
then use the iPad as a computer effectively by
yeah.
connecting a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and stuff.
Oh,
But
yes,
again,
I've seen this. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and up until now, that experience hasn't been very great. But as it stands, we're recording this podcast on the 13th of September. By
Yes.
the time it goes out, the new iOS and iPad OS updates will be out, which are coming out on the 15th of September.
There you go.
So first things first, the naming convention has changed. So it's no longer currently we are on iOS 18. The
Yeah.
next version of iOS is iOS 26
Play.
because they're now
Oh, to the
moving
year.
to the year, which we're not currently in iOS in 2026, but I guess Apple are
Close
like
enough.
the vast majority of the year will be taken up by 2026 for this version.
Sure.
Anyway,
Do what you want, Apple.
and there's lots of interesting things coming along. I've been running the beta version of iOS on my iPhone for a while. It's great. There's some
Definitely
new
was.
there's some really nice new features. The main thing is the visual change. They've put liquid glass, as they call it, their new very glassy feel where you can, when you scroll through your Safari, you can see all of that as if you're looking through frosted glass. It can be jarring at times, but hey ho, this is the way things are moving along.
Yeah.
But
Me and my
um,
Pixel 7 are still hanging in here.
the big change, and I think what is going to be the winner, is iPad OS. And what
Yeah.
they've done with iPad OS 26 is they have literally turned the iPad into a computer.
That's
Like
awesome.
you've now got historically the iPad you could only run one app at a time. Then they brought in split view where you could run two apps at a time,
Yeah.
and you
I
could
do
do a
like that.
few other funky stuff. Now you can run as many apps. There may be a limit, but you can run loads of windows on your iPad now. So you can resize as many apps as you want into
Okay.
different windows on the. Um, I always used to think, I don't know why anyone would buy the 13-inch iPad Pro. That's just way too
But
big
that's
for a
why, isn't
tablet,
it?
right? Now you would buy a
Yeah.
13-inch iPad Pro because what they've done with the capability with iOS 26, it actually really truly does now feel like it could be a computer. And
Yeah.
it's funny I say that. I used to always say to my daughter, my eldest daughter went through her entire college life and the latter years of her high school using an iPad as her main device, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
I will buy you a MacBook, but how are
Yeah.
you doing? How are you
Working.
productively doing work on a? And she used to do it. I bought her a keyboard and
I
stuff
was
that
gonna
she got.
say, did she have a keyboard?
But
Because that's the
yeah,
only thing for me that I would want
yeah.
to add.
So she did have a keyboard,
Right.
but it's still for me, it's still the thing. And it comes back to the thing that what Steve Jobs used to say about the MacBook. People would ask him, would you ever bring touch to a MacBook? And he would say no, because the laptop is not designed to be touch. And he's like, the first thing you have to do is put your finger to the
Yeah.
screen like that. And he goes, your arm starts to hurt. I was
Yeah.
like, that's fair enough. I've had touchscreen Windows devices in the past,
Mhm.
and two things that bother me. One is Windows is not designed to be a touch operating system. They tried that with Windows 8. It
Yeah.
failed miserably, right? They went back to it becoming a desktop operating system. But even when I've used Windows 10 and Windows 11 as with the touch, fair enough, it was okay to touch one thing at some point, but it
Yeah.
wasn't, again, ironically, on the bigger screen, with the resolution being lower, my fingers were still too fat to move the things around, right? And it just wasn't. And then the other thing that just absolutely bothered me was I hated the fingerprint marks on the screen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That was
I
mine on
just,
my old Aces
yeah,
as well.
like I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm not using this as a touch operating system.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is how they've managed to do that with iPad OS, where it could actually be the real winner, because we
Mhm.
know that iPads are very heavily used in education.
Yeah.
They are probably the best tablet in the world,
Oh, yeah.
from
Absolutely.
a tablet perspective. And the fact that you've got all of these productivity enhancements coming to the iPad, I think makes it a real winner.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. I won't be giving it a run because I don't have an iPad anymore, but
Mhm.
hopefully some point I'll be getting another iPad soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out.
It is almost time for us to upgrade our old iPad. We have two in our house, and we use them on airplane rides for our children. Um, and so we inherited them. They are old, like, okay. We have an iPad mini, which is a bit newer, but not new by any stretch of the imagination. And then we have a 7th generation iPad. Okay. iPad. Yeah, it's like the regular sized one.
Mm.
Anyway, I got it from my grandmother. My grandmother needed a new iPad because she couldn't play Candy Crush. It was starting to get a little slow. She's not going to watch this, so it's okay. Nobody messes with my grandma and her iPad. Okay, like nobody. You can't take it away from her. She's essentially like what we worry about with children today and screens. She's already there. But because she's an old woman, we just let her do whatever she needs to do. So she got a fancy new iPad. I got her old iPad because we just use it for, like, again, Netflix and kids apps on road trips. But this thing won't even charge anymore. I have to plug it in 2 days ahead of time. Okay. And it's like sometimes if it's on while it's charging, it actually goes down in battery power. It's just so bad. So we do need a new iPad in our house. And I think I'm going to get another mini because I just like the size of them. They're really nice for travel and things like that. But I also use Procreate quite a bit just for like some designing and things like that. That's primarily how I use it. Honestly, I don't use them a ton. Most of the time I'm on my MacBook. And as we all know, I don't have an iPhone. So
We need to upgrade your life at some point.
I know, but it's just that I got the Pixel Watch, right? So I was going to get the iPhone, but then I got the Pixel Watch. And then I was like, well, if I have the Pixel Watch, I can't have the iPhone. And this is my issue with these ecosystems. I love an ecosystem so much because I like everything to be the same. That's why I struggled so much with like the first time I switched from an iPhone to an Android, it was a Samsung phone. And I had such a hard time because I had my, my Google stuff, but then I also had the random Samsung apps that I couldn't delete. And I didn't like that. So that's why
Yeah.
I ended up going to a Pixel because my photos automatically, upload to Google Photos. And I think that that's awesome.
But you see, it comes back to, like, yeah, ecosystem is great, and I love the
Yes.
Apple ecosystem. in the sense that, especially with when I'm using a MacBook, my Apple Watch, the minute I walk into the room, will just automatically
Yeah.
unlock my MacBook for me and stuff. And those quality of life upgrades are great.
Yeah.
They're lovely.
Cool.
Is it worth paying the Apple tax premium for them? That can be argued. No, probably not.
I don't
But
know.
it what
If
it
you're
is.
doing it though, like if
Yeah,
you're already, like to switch everything over, maybe.
exactly. Right. But it comes back to what we were just saying about the Apple Intelligence thing and all of that, right? You and I are very much in the Google ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
We're using MacBooks, but we run both Safari and Google Chrome on that MacBook,
Yeah.
right? We don't use the Apple Mail, right? We
No.
use Gmail.
Yeah.
We don't use Pages, Numbers, and Keynote in most
No.
cases, right? We use Docs, Sheets, and Slides,
Mhm.
for example, right? Some people might install the Microsoft tools on their MacBook and things, and
Yeah.
it's a case of sometimes an ecosystem doesn't mean you have to be locked into that
Yeah.
ecosystem, right? The reason why you have the Google apps on iOS is because they want to grab those users, right? Or there might be those users like you and I that are using those tools. We just choose to do it to do those things on a MacBook, right? And
Yeah. I love
because,
the MacBook.
don't get me wrong, Chrome OS I think is a great operating system
Yeah.
for use in the enterprise and for most people as well at home. But I like Safari, for example, or I
Yeah.
like an app that you can only get on Mac OS or something. And it's
Mm.
just in that instance, why should you have to be locked in? And I do feel sometimes big tech is very much, you must only use our products and you must not
Yeah.
use that company's products. And it's just like, I don't think so, right? It's a
No.
case of, you know, consumer choice, right? Like,
Yeah.
I, yes, I use an Apple. I use the Apple ecosystem for everything possible, but I also synchronize my photos to Google Photos as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't use Apple Intelligence because right now, at this very moment in time, I don't have a device that supports Apple Intelligence.
There you go.
But I use ChatGPT and I
Yeah.
use Gemini, right?
Yeah.
And I pay for the I pay for the Gemini AI premium subscription
Mhm.
because you get the 2 terabytes of Google Drive space with it, right? That I use for my photos, right? And
Oh.
so, uh, am I using it? Am I using it as much as I probably should do for the value of it? Probably. Well, especially the AI bit, Gemini, probably not.
Yeah.
Between the two, sometimes, again, it swings and roundabouts. Sometimes I feel like ChatGPT is great for generating the content I ask it, and then I'll be working on another project, and Gemini will just shoot down ChatGPT hands down, sort of thing.
I have found
It,
the same thing. Like it
yeah.
very much depends. I use them interchangeably. And I think we've talked about my AI use before. Have we talked about, because you've got the subscriptions and I don't have any subscriptions. So I use ChatGPT until it tells me that I've run out of data. And then I go, I'm like, fine. And I go on over to Gemini and I use that.
Well, on that news, and I'll say thank you to everyone for the tip. Perplexity are giving away a free 1 year subscription to Perplexity Pro if you
Okay.
connect your PayPal account.
Oh,
So you just go to Perplexity. So if you Google Perplexity PayPal, that's a tongue tweezer.
perplexity. PayPal
And
Pro.
then and then you get a free 1 year. I've never used Perplexity
This is
before.
fun.
But I will try and give it a go now, seeing as I've
Yeah.
got a free 1 year subscription to it. And as they say, your mileage may vary, isn't it?
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I would like to hear you say Perplexity Pro and PayPal like 10 times fast. I think would be great. And at this point, after hearing you say it a few times, maybe even 3 times in a row would be enough.
You know what? This is where something like 11 Labs would come really useful, where I can train it my voice and then record me saying
And it just
Perplexity Pro PayPal, and then just get it to
Bathroom.
shout out to our friend Darren White, who actually did that and trained 11 Labs on his voice, and he's now recorded what he calls an AI assisted podcast, where the AI, the entire podcast is his voice generated by 11 Labs, which is amazing, and it sounds really, really impressive, albeit you can still notice the lack of empathy and excitement at times, so to speak, that you get out of the natural voice. But I remember the first time the iPhone actually had something built in, and they called it it wasn't called AI voice generation. I'm trying to look on my phone for it right now to see what it was called, but you had to sit there for a good half an hour. I think it was personal voice. Yeah, it's called personal voice.
Okay.
And they marketed it to people who were losing their voice, and so you would sit there and you would get it. I think it took a good half an hour, and you would read like 150 statements, and then it would generate your voice.
Sounds like every teacher's dream.
Yeah, but I'm going to try to play it. I've actually got it my voice, and honestly, it sounds terrible.
I'm like, I'm going to do this and then show up to work and be like.
So this is Abid's personal voice. I'm going to play the preview now and see what happens. This is Abid's personal voice. Well, firstly, I don't pronounce my name Abid.
Yeah.
Right. But well, let's play that again.
Strike one.
This is Abid's personal voice. This is Abid's personal voice.
Personal voice.
I mean, that doesn't sound like me in any way whatsoever. It sounds very robotic. And oh, trust me, after sitting there for half an hour reading all of those statements, I was extremely disappointed with the output. But
no doubt.
But the likes of 11 Labs does it a lot better, and who knows, maybe the new Apple Intelligence will have some better personal voice, as we should as we say. But yeah,
I want one to answer my spam phone calls. That's what I want.
How
many spam phone calls do you get a day? Because I'm running at about 9.
On the subject of iOS 26, then Apple have introduced a feature where anyone who calls you now who's not in your contacts list will get the iPhone will answer the call on your behalf. You'll actually see the call being answered, and the iPhone will say to the person that, can you tell us who you are, where you're calling from, what's the purpose of your call? And then the iPhone will then ring and tell you that this person is on hold effectively, right?
Abid,
do you want to accept the call?
This is every millennial's dream.
I'm pretty sure the Pixel has something similar, though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But I only use it for spam. But it's like, I never use it for, like, I just never answer my phone because I cannot speak on the phone.
Well, it's funny is how many people are now going to go through their contacts list and delete everyone from the contacts list so that everyone gets pushed to the call handler.
Susan. You got to go through my AI assistant. Oh my gosh, indeed. That's fantastic. I'll tell you what, if there is a phone number calling me that I do not know, I'm like, if you leave a voicemail, I'll check it in 7 to 10 days and call you back. You're probably going to want to text me or send an email, though. I can't. It's a running joke in our house that if like we have to call for an adult thing and speak to a human for like, heaven forbid, customer service, I can't do it. Absolutely not. No, well, I'm millennial in that way.
The amount of spam that comes through as phone calls right now, and also texts. Like I get one of these at least every week, right? I get one of these at least every week. Hey there, Abid. Anna here. I work in public relations, focusing on media research. I was hoping to chat last week about a potential feature in Business Insider and USA Today. No upfront fees, only pay if you get published. You've got a strong media potential. Can I send you an example of something recently we've done? Right. I also get these other ones where it's like, hi, my name is Grace Mitchell, and I'm the Human Resources Manager at Service Plan Group. We're currently offering a flexible part-time position that you can complete in your spare time. Video publisher, comment or like videos, salary £500 a day. Like
Wow.
this stuff is phenomenal, and it's
Not.
always I'm always getting these things. Oh, hello, this is TikTok HR. We'd like to invite you to be our online employee. With just a mobile phone and working in your spare time, you can earn up to 800 daily. 800 what? I'm not sure, but
Yeah, no
and
something.
interestingly enough, all of these tech spam texts want to add you to WhatsApp for some reason.
Okay.
I even get the phone
Sure.
calls now. I get the phone calls now. It's like,
Yeah.
hello, this is HMRC. We have a job for you. Please add me on WhatsApp. Goodbye. And that's it. It's literally like a 5-second phone call, and it's just like
Like, no thank
wow. And but you know and this is a cybersecurity thing, right? The amount of people who are going to be looking at this and say, hey, I use TikTok every day. I want to
I like
earn
800
800.
chocolate coins a
You
day.
know?
Yes.
Exactly. um and my wife was just talking about it just the other day. She got something about from the energy company saying you qualify for the winter fuel allowance, right? And please tap on this link. And it was clearly me as the cybersecurity person would
Yeah.
see clearly that's a spam link.
Right.
How many people would know that, right?
No.
I mean, it's funny. We don't use text messages in the UK, which is why I'm
Yeah.
very easily able to just
That's
scroll through my text message. I've got a parking charge notice. The record shows you have unpaid parking fines. The
I
deadline to
love
pay
those
the
ones.
fine is August the 19th, 2025. If you fail to pay the fine on time, you may be subject to additional fines, interest, and your credit record will be affected.
Yeah.
And all of that. And now it's telling me to go to this website, enter my registration number, and then pay the parking fine, right?
Absolutely not.
It's the fear factor there, right?
Yeah, it
Oh no,
is.
I've got a parking fine, and I don't want my credit report to be affected. I don't want to be subject to potential court action, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So people are going to do it, right? And
Yeah.
it's really stuff to be wary about. But I'm hoping
It's really not
that
very nice.
both on the Android operating system and iOS, these kind of call handler things will be able to sift through that. But then, of
Yeah.
course, what's going to happen is the scammers are just going to get cleverer at
Of course.
bypassing those systems. But
One day we'll all just throw our phones into the ocean. Maybe.
I remember there was an episode of Supergirl a few years ago
Yeah.
where some visitors of the League of Justice or something had come from like the 30th century in the future,
Okay.
and someone was talking about social media, and they were like, so what's social media? And then someone who had traveled from the 21st century to the 31st century turned around and said, oh yeah, it was something that we tried in the 21st century, but it was something that failed. It never really took off.
It really took off.
I really do think we're probably heading towards that with social media, the way some of these platforms, Twitter is
Yeah.
is going.
Be
So
nicer.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of getting tired of it a little bit
Yeah,
myself.
indeed.
Honestly, sometimes I'm like, am I just getting old or is it just a lot? And it's probably both, where I'm getting to the age now where I'm like, I don't have time
No.
for this. I don't want to see. Where are the flower pictures? Instagram? Can we do less when I turn on my phone that like a reel's gonna blast music at me? And like maybe I want to see some more pictures of dogs. I want to see like I don't know what I want to see, but just something nice. I follow a great account, like a local account that shows all of the playgrounds around the city. Love that one. But like I
What?
just want to be a little tamer.
See, what you're hinting at there is the algorithm, right?
Yes.
And
Tell me
Tim
what I need.
Berners, so Tim Berners-Lee, who is credited with building the World Wide Web or something, right?
Yeah.
So, I think there was a BBC article, a BBC interview that he did just last week, I think it was, and he was asked whether he liked the vision of the internet, or whether his vision of the internet was what we see today.
Yeah.
And he said, big tech have ruined the internet. And he said that the biggest problem, and he said where the law needs to step in, is outlawing algorithms, because it's the algorithms that big tech use to promote stuff to you these days is what's causing problems within humanity. Right? Like when Instagram and those kind of things came out, and Instagram was a founded company, a startup company that got bought out by Facebook, now Meta. But and likewise YouTube was a startup that got bought out by Google. But when they were founded, they were on the premise of, here's somewhere to share your photos, here's somewhere to share your life, right?
Your life.
But like the first major change that Facebook made to the feed was they got rid of the chronological view, I think it was, and everyone hated it because they're like, I want to see what people are posting, right? And I want to see what I open up my Facebook feed now, and I do not see any friends on my feed. It is just absolute utter junk that I have in no way ever followed or anything like that. I've never even searched for these terms. So all of that cookie tracking things and stuff like that, I've never done any of that. And it's just like, why are you feeding me this? I have no idea.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't want it. I want to choose. I want to choose.
Yes, indeed.
Oh gosh. Also, if you hear small voices in the background, my children are home.
well, on that note, Megan, it's been great catching up.
Yes, it has.
It has been a very long time since our last episode.
I know, it's nice to be back.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's subscribed over the summer break, and thank you to all of our new listeners and new subscribers, and looking forward to a very exciting year of EdTech AM again, with some guests hopefully coming in the very near future.
Our next episode we are going to have our first guest.
Yes,
so stay tuned.
Yes.
We're excited.
Absolutely. But yes, please do visit our website, edtecham.com. edtecham.com. and
edtecham.org.
No, edtecham.org. Yeah, it's been that long, hasn't it?
Wow, we're rusty. Don't worry, stay with us. We'll get it together.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a long summer. Indeed. And yeah, hopefully we will see you, hear you, and be with you again on a future episode very soon.
You bet. Stay tuned. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.